to my channel, coming to you from my living room floor with my glass of water. It is water, by the way. And today we are going to talk about bringing your child to the UK as a single parent. So that is bringing your child on a child-dependent visa. So this is one topic I used to constantly search up on YouTube, because being a single parent is just, everything just becomes more complicated. And I had heard that even with the UK, it's the same thing. It's harder to get your child to come here as a single parent than it would be if you were coming as a family unit. So it's something that I've been praying about for the longest time, ever since I left my son at the airport in November 2022. I've been so nervous, and I've been working hard to make sure that everything for him goes off really well. So the good news is my son has his dependent visa approved, and I just thought I should share just how my experience was with the whole process. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, I get thirsty a lot these days, I don't know why, so that's why I had to even come with my glass of water. So the first thing that I had to do, obviously, was just to make sure that he has a passport. In my country, we have a travel document and we have a passport. The passport is the one that allows you to go overseas. So that's the one that he needed. So the first dilemma was, my son has dual citizenship. He is South African and Swazi, because his father is South African, and then I'm from Swaziland. But because his father and I were never married, I do just prefer to use only his Swazi citizenship, because it puts me in more control. So the first thing that I did was to apply for his passport. Now, if you have watched my channel from the beginning, you will see in my first video that there was a part where I said I was taking some photos for my son so that he can go do his international passport. So by the time that I left home, already I had done his international passport. The second thing that I had to do was, obviously, when I got here, I had to make sure that I had suitable accommodation for him. I had to work hard to just show that I'm making enough money month after month to look after the needs of the child. So yeah, that was the first thing that I had to do. That is one of the reasons why I was so stressed out when I wasn't really finding accommodation as quickly as I wanted to, because then it was subsequently just delaying the whole entire process of my child getting here. Because it was just so hard, because as a child, he's only 5, he doesn't understand, where am I? Why has he not seen me for so many months? When am I coming? When is the pilot coming to fetch me? Anyway, yeah, so once I got the house, and I just I made sure, my spending and my bank accounts were just showing a very responsible adult. So I decided for my son's visa to use a lawyer. Reason being, I just did not want to take chances with him, because if his visa had been denied, it would have been very hard for me moving forward, because part of the reason why I decided to move to the UK was just to give him more opportunities in life, just to give him that head start, or I don't know, but it would have been harder if he didn't come for me. So I decided to use a lawyer, and it was the same immigration lawyer that helped me with my visa. So that was the same lawyers that were hired by my company. So I just decided to use them as well, because they are immigration lawyers. So they charged me £500. So that £500 was for the visa costs, and just their fees. So I don't know the breakdown, like what are their fees, they just said everything was £500, and that is what I paid. I had to pay that money up front. So now by watching this video and through my experience, obviously it can help someone else to not have to spend £500 on a lawyer. You can do it yourself. So the first thing that I had to do when I started his visa process was he had to go and do his TB test, because if you're coming to the UK for longer than 6 months, you have to go and do a TB test at a UKVI approved TB test. So there's no TB tests that are approved by the UK government in Swaziland, so he had to travel to Pretoria to get it done. Now, because he's only 5, I had to write a consent letter for when he was going to do his TB test. I had to write a consent letter and say that I'm in the UK and this is my son, and because I'm not able to be there, I'm giving consent to my mom for her to take him to his TB test. So everything went well there, and he got it on the same day. Then I went to the lawyers and I presented them, hey, this is blah blah blah, my son, and I'd like you to help me with this visa process. So they asked for the TB test, they asked for a letter of consent from his father, and they asked for his birth certificate. They wanted to see his passport. What else? My biometric residence permit, my residence permit. Yeah, so I already had the TB test done, so I sent everything through to them, and I explained that I am a single parent, and they just said they still need the consent letter from the dad. So I spoke to his father, and he wrote a consent letter saying that basically he's the father, him and I were never married, the child has been under my care since he was born. He's been staying with me, and now he's aware that I'm in the UK, and he does give consent for the child to travel to come and live with me in the UK. That's basically what his letter said, and then he signed it, of course. So yeah, that was about it. Oh, I also wrote a letter and I said that this is my son and I'm applying for him to come and join me. Yeah, so there were 2 letters, one from me, one from his dad, and then his legal documents. Cool. Immediately the lawyer did tell me that it is extremely difficult when it comes to a child. Well, it's not difficult, but the UK government is very cautious when it comes to dependent childs of single parents, because they just quoted some stuff, you know, some sections, child welfare things, so they will need to see beyond reasonable doubt that I have sole responsibility, or most of the responsibility anyway. So yeah, basically the letters covered that basically I'm saying the child has lived with me and he's under my care. He lives with me and not his dad, and his dad basically verified the same thing. Cool. So they sent through everything. Oh, no. Then they also wanted to see, where is the child now? If he's been living with me and is not living with his dad, where is he now? Then he was in South Africa with my mother, but then the lawyer said that he had to go back to his country that he's applying from, which is Swaziland. Or else, if he's applying from South Africa, he'll have to apply as a South African. So yeah, because he has to give reasons why he's not back in the country he's applying from while he's waiting for the visa, if that makes sense. So I needed a letter as well from my aunt, who then my child went back to stay with, that okay, this is so and so, and I am taking care of um my Snowy's child while she's away. Yeah, so they sent that through. About a week later, or then even when he had to go for his biometric appointments to hand in his passport and everything, I had to write another consent letter for my mother that I am not there, and I have asked my mother to go with my son for his biometrics. So then, yeah, that's what they needed. And then the other thing, so they got there, my mom said she had to show them the letter, and then as well she just had to, because with your biometrics they ask for your documents, fine, and then you have to also give your fingerprints, and they have to take a photo of you, and you have to look into a camera and say who you are and your date of birth, basically just to confirm your identity. So that's what we did. So apparently maybe because he's a child, or maybe he got shy, I don't know, my mom said that she had to take him, put him on her lap, look into the camera and say, this is so and so, he is what years old, he was born and this such and such a date. And then then they could see my son was obviously sitting there. So everything went off. Apparently it took like 10-15 minutes, but everything went well in that regard. So yeah, then we waited. About a week later is when we heard back, and it was, as it currently stands, your son's visa stands for refusal, because he is not traveling with both, one parent is staying behind, and the rules state that the law states that for a child to come as a dependent, he has to be traveling with both parents, or like both parents have to be coming to the UK. And now as it stands, it's only the mom that's in the UK and the dad is not there. And they said that they quoted a section from child welfare something. So they basically said they would require more information from me. That is, they want to see that I have really had the sole responsibility of the child. Number two, they wanted more information on his father. Like, where does he stay? His proof of address. What else did they want? They wanted to see his passport, a copy of his passport, and then obviously along with the consent letter. Then they also wanted to see what are the travel arrangements for the child. They want to be satisfied that the child, from their travel to their reception to their welfare while they're in the UK. So my mom had applied to travel with my son just to bring him over, because it was just an easier transition for him, because he's been staying with his grandma for a while. Then to just, I just felt like if my mom is here, it will help him just transition more, and then by the time she goes back, he'll just be more comfortable. So my mom had already applied, and her visa was approved. I didn't use a lawyer for my mom, so she just applied for a visitor's visa, and everything, in like 6 days it was back. So I had to now send proof of the fact that, okay, I've asked my mom to come with her. Here's my mom's visa, it's already approved. And the reason in my mom's visa for her coming was for her to travel with my son. So that was the travel arrangements. The second thing was the reception. I had to show, this is where he will be staying, under my address, this is where I live. And then I also had to show my bank statements, just to now satisfy the part that he will be taken care of. I do have sufficient funds to take care of him while he's in the UK. And on top of that, he does have other family members in, like my father, my stepmom, and my siblings. He has another support system as well besides me. So he could always visit my parents over the holidays or whatever. But just my dad also wrote a letter in that regard saying that I'm his grandfather, and I'll be here to support him wherever need be. But yeah, he just has already a support structure in the UK waiting for him. So yeah, then we sent that back and just prayed that it comes through. Then it came through, and then they said that his visa had been approved. So all in all, he applied on the same day as my mother. My mom's visa was approved in 6 days, and then my son's visa was approved in 3 weeks. Yeah, it took about 3 weeks, yeah, basically. So that is just basically the whole process that I went through in terms of applying for my child to join me as a single parent. So it is possible, and with everything I've explained, just include all the relevant information. And the most important thing I would say is the consent letter, because maybe there's trafficking going on, or it's the stuff that they ask for makes sense, they're reasonable. So just make sure you are well prepared before you apply. You make sure you have everything they could possibly need, any sort of evidence you have. If you do have sole custody and you are maybe paying for your child's fees or their medical aid, just include everything. They just want to see that you are telling the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, then it's just not worth it, really. Just tell the truth and be as transparent as possible, and everything should go well, basically. So in terms of how much money you need for the maintenance, I'm not sure. Originally, I didn't really need to include my bank statements, because when I applied for my visa, my company certified my maintenance, so I did not have to prove my proof of funds, because like my son just fell under that. But when now it showed that I'm a single parent, they did want to see my financials. And as long as you are just transparent, like I said, everything should go well. Yeah, so good luck on everyone. It is possible to bring your child over as a single parent. Just make sure you're prepared. They're coming into a good environment. I got a 2-bedroom for that, so that he has his own room, and it's a little garden outside he can play. Just yeah, I also have applied for him for a school that he will go to. And basically what I did there is I just went to the school, and I first had to write to the Education Authority of Northern Ireland and tell them, hey, I have my child coming in, I'm aware it's a late application for the September intake, but the reason was because his visa was not approved yet, and they gave me instruction to fill in a form and send it to the school that I want, which I chose the closest school to me, to my address. And I went there, and then I had to have his birth certificate as well, and I explained the situation, and they said it's fine. Immediately when he arrives, I should bring him to the school, and they'll get him sorted out. So this is your sign to not be afraid. Don't have any doubts about it. If you can avoid using a lawyer, perfect, because it really is straightforward. It really is straightforward. I was just being extra cautious. That's the only reason why. But if you are married and you are coming as a family with your child, then you are sorted. The only problem is just when you are a single parent. But thank you for watching. And do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe.